Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL Podcast channel. In this episode today, we're catching up with you guys. We're talking about the last week of major of qualifiers for the major, talking all kinds of stuff. We got name changes in the community. We got anti-cheat updates. We got brands coming back. We got Shotzi fighting the whole community. Lots of stuff to talk about. We're also going to kind of give our quick thoughts on the minors since we haven't been able to do an episode since then. If you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. Brock, how you doing today after our little break?
We're back. Love it. What I don't love is Wisconsin weather right now.
Yeah, it's like negative 30.
Yeah, it's brutal right now.
Yeah, it is brutal. And I was moving while it was this cold, so that's why we had no episode last week. I was moving; it was like impossible. We didn't have Wi-Fi. We usually record on Monday nights. I moved last Monday. Wasn't a super far move or anything, but we were moving. Didn't have the Wi-Fi set up. Didn't have my setup. But honestly, getting it set up was like one of my last priorities. We were trying to get the place all set, so we moved.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're mostly all settled in, but got the setup all set, and we thankfully didn't miss a week of an actual tournament, but we just missed some qualifier matches. We unfortunately didn't get to do an episode last week after the minor tournament. Thankfully, it wasn't a major, but we missed the episode after the minor tournament.
Yep. But we're back.
Which we're back. We shouldn't have any delays. It was just a weird time with vacation and then moving basically back to back.
Yep.
So just a weird time of stuff, but we shouldn't have any delays coming up at all in the future. So we should be back on a normal schedule. Sorry for the delay. For those of you out there, I know like when on Spotify, it's a lot harder to communicate with people on any of like the audio platforms that aren't YouTube. They don't really have like great like comment features. Or like very good ways to update people. So there are like plenty of listeners out there that I like get messages from and stuff. Like that are just like Spotify listeners. I mean, that's the way I consume pretty much all my podcasts on Spotify. So I'll get like messages on Twitter, or like people will find Twitter that they didn't follow before and they'll DM like, are you guys doing an episode? Like, is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, we just missed. But like those people just like, I'll tweet like, hey, we're not gonna have an episode, or I'll post in the YouTube community, but there's no really good way to like communicate that to like Apple Podcast listeners or Spotify listeners. So those people are just like left out to dry. And I feel so bad every time I get a message like, hey, is an episode coming out this week? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
On Spotify, if you don't follow on Twitter, you don't have a great way to get updates. So go follow the Twitter, because that's usually where most updates are going to be, or like in the YouTube community.
Yep.
But anyways, got a lot to talk about. A lot of news happened. We're going to do like a little bit of standings talk, who's going to make it to winners, a little bit of like a quick review of the minor, and then we're going to talk about some news, talk about the matches from this past weekend, and then make predictions. So first, updated standings heading into the final qualifier matches. Got Toronto as the only undefeated team in first. They're locked into winners. Optic at 5-1, who actually plays Toronto this week. I believe it will be for the 1 seed. Because no matter what, if Optic wins, they'll be at 20 maps won. And Toronto will be at 20 maps won. I guess if it goes down to tiebreaker,
Mm-hmm.
if it's head to head, I don't know if it goes head to head or like map win percentage, but like technically, I guess if Optic wins 3-2, they would be 20-11, and Ultra would be 20 and. Oh, no, I guess Ultra would be 20-11 as well because they're 18-8. Yeah.
Yep.
So they would both be 20-11, and then I'm assuming we'll go to head to head. I guess the only way it could maybe get messed up is if like Carolina wins 2, and like they win their last 2 matches and like they go like 6-0. They would only be 19-7, so they'd have less maps won, and maybe we'll go to win percentage. I'm not sure, but Optic and Toronto appear to maybe be playing for the 1 seed. Last match of the weekend, Carolina, LA Thieves, Boston, all locked into winners, and then from there, I believe everybody else is vulnerable because like you got Miami, Vancouver, and Atlanta and Rocker all with 2 wins. And with all of them having 2 wins and some of them playing each other, I'm pretty sure LAG, Cloud9, and Vegas. I mean, Vegas are for sure eliminated. They're 0-6.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure Cloud9 and LAG are also eliminated from winners, being 1-5. But there could be some shift. It's like a battle between, Minnesota, FaZe, Vancouver, and Miami all at 2 wins. And there's 3 spots up, 4 teams up for it. I'm sure there's probably a way LAG could make it in if they go like 2-0 and like 6-0 map count or something, and some other teams lose. But probably most likely a 4-team race for 3 spots. So it'll be fun.
Yep. Well, dude, I was gonna stand is kind of saying his face has 9 wins and 11 map loss win.
Yeah, 9 and 11 map count, which is crazy for FaZe.
I kind of just forgot they're so bad because they won the minor and all that.
Yeah, it's like they were really bad, and they come out, they win the minor, and it's like, oh yeah, like FaZe they're playing well now, but it's like you still have to remember that those minor matches don't count for the actual like major one qualifier standing. So then you go back and look at their record, and it's like, oh, actually, yeah, their like regular season record looks pretty bad. I mean,
Yeah.
9 and 11 map count, 2-3. I think they have some pretty good matches to get back on track this weekend. FaZe plays where is it here? They play Boston and Cloud9. So Cloud9 really struggling. Boston actually playing really well right now. So maybe not as easy of a match as we would have thought, but FaZe with 1 win, I'm pretty sure gets in, and I would expect that they beat Cloud9 with the way that they look.
Yeah.
Who do you think, Brock? Quick, well, maybe it'll change when you do your actual predictions later in the episode. But like quick prediction, obviously, like we know 1 through 5, Toronto, Optic, Carolina, LAT, and Boston are locked in. Between Miami, Vancouver, Atlanta, Minnesota, I think it might be possible for like LAG to make it just because they do have a decent map win percentage because they've gone to so many game 5s in their losses.
Yeah.
They have more map wins than FaZe, even though they have one less win. But I guess let's count LAG out just because I don't know how the tiebreakers work for them. If you're picking between those remaining 3, Miami, Vancouver, Atlanta, Minnesota, who do you think make it winners?
Definitely picking Atlanta for sure to get up in winners.
Yep, I would agree with that.
I would say Minnesota as well can beat the other teams.
So what's interesting, Brock, is Minnesota. Obviously, you see they're 2-4. They're one of the few teams that only has 1 match this weekend, and their match is against Vancouver.
Oh, that's a big match for Minnesota.
Yeah, and Miami, who's up there in 6 right now, they play Carolina and LAT.
Ooh, that's a tough week for them.
So I have a feeling like Miami could fall down. This is where like seeing who everybody plays, I do see a world maybe where LAG can sneak in. I don't know if it's mathematically possible based on tiebreakers, but maybe they can sneak in because I mean, who does LAG get this week? They get Falcon. So LAG is probably going to win. And a decent chance they win in a 3-0 fashion. So they'd be 2-5, 13-15 map count. If Miami loses 0-3 both series, which I don't know if they will, they would technically be 12-17.
Yep.
Map win percentage, I would think. Yeah, it's gonna be tight. Maybe LAG is possible to make it in, but it does make it very interesting that Miami has 2 really hard matches. So they may lose both. Vancouver and Minnesota, one of them has to lose at least 1 more match because they play each other. And then Vancouver's other matches against Carolina. So there's a world where like Vancouver loses both, Miami loses both. So Atlanta and Rocker would both win. They would jump in, and then Miami, Vancouver, potentially LAG, all have 2 wins, and it just comes out to tiebreaker.
Yeah. So definitely, I think Minnesota wins against Vancouver, and then I'm gonna roll with Miami losing twice because they have a tough schedule, and I think Vancouver sneaks in.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We'll see a lot more as like the weekend goes on. Probably about like, oh, after the first day, these things happen. This is what needs to happen. For this team to make it or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the slate of matches, but Sunday is an absolute awesome day again, in my opinion.
Yep.
All right. I guess quickly, Brock, we'll talk about the minor. It's obviously like 2 weeks removed now. We weren't able to do the episode. We explained that obviously, but like not as much talk I want to do about it because like it has moved on. I'd rather talk about the matches from this past weekend. But Atlanta FaZe able to get it done, able to win the minor. We certainly said that was a possibility. I think we both had them losing to LAT in the second round because of the time. Obviously, LAT looks so much better, but we both, I think, definitely thought that there's a world. I mean, when this FaZe roster, when that trio's together, there is not a single tournament they can't win in my mind.
Yep, agreed.
And it's not completely the same because they have gone back to back. Who I'm about to say, but like they're a little bit like the Chiefs. It's NFL playoff time. Atlanta FaZe is a little bit like the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs have closed out their wins over the past few years, so I know that could be a little different for the analogy's sake. But like, I mean it in the fact that like the past 2 years, if you're an NFL fan, like the Chiefs have looked a little more vulnerable during the regular season. Maybe they don't look as good. They're not scoring as many points. They're not killing teams as much as they always have. And like last year in the playoffs, everybody's like, yeah, they're not that good. Like,
Hmm.
they made it to the playoffs, but like they had a lot of close games. They're not that good. Like, there's no way they do it again. And they went out and they did it again and they won it again. Then this year, it's like, they might be 15-2 and they were 15-1 with their starters, but like, they're not that good. Like, they don't look that good. And now here they are again, one game away from the Super Bowl. It's kind of the same thing with FaZe. Even if they don't look that good, it's like you can never doubt them because like if they end up winning, it's never shocking.
Yep. Yeah, you can never bet against those 4 players that they have on their team.
Yeah, like they're always gonna be in the running. Like unless they are literally playing so bad. Like honestly, even if FaZe goes 0-7 when those 4 players show up to land, like I'm not gonna count them out from like making a run.
Yeah.
Like it just the players are like you're talking about all time great players. Like
Hmm.
4 world champs, 4 like Simply especially all time great players. Cell and Draza, amazing players. Like this team is always gonna have a chance to win every time they step into any competition.
Yep. And look what they did at the minor. They were struggling before that, and they come to the minor and win it.
And we were getting cooked for like constantly saying like FaZe isn't playing well right now, but like any given day they could just like flip the switch and turn it around.
Hmm. Yep.
And we were getting flamed forward, and look what happened. I mean, and I remember a turning point in that major was they lost map one or in that minor they lost map one, and I forget what series. Then in like the search and destroy, BZ had a 1v4. I think it was in their first series
Hmm. Yeah.
against Miami. Like, didn't they get crushed map one? Right?
I thought they lost map one. I don't.
They got
I think.
smoked.
I think so.
Yeah, and then they came back in a BZ or Simp or somebody had a 1v4 in the search. It's a couple weeks ago now, but somebody had like a 1v4 in the search, and from there it seemed like a switch just flipped. And like you've heard pros, I always hear like Zinni talk about it, like because Zinni was on teams where like Zinni was a good player, but he wasn't usually on teams that were like like the top team. He was just on like solid teams, and he talked about like that switch. Like it's like when you're like a team that's like a solid team or a team that has like good players, like all it takes is like one random round of search and destroy to like start a snowball or one big map win that just like your team just like clicks into place because these are all pros at the end of the day, and like
Hmm.
it's also the case for FaZe because these are 4 amazing players.
Yeah.
They're better than the average player.
Yep. You just get that momentum, and like you just kind of everything starts flowing better, and I don't know how to explain it, but
It's the
I
same
get.
thing in anybody that's played a sport, any game, anything.
Hmm.
Like you start to get that momentum, you start to get that flow. Things just start to seem easier, and it's a snowball. And the other team can feel it when you start to roll, and it's just hard to counter in any kind of like team sport, team esport, anything like that.
Yeah. Once they get rolling, it's hard to mitigate them.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, completely. Um, yeah, but the minor was very fun to watch. Some people were complaining it just felt like regular league matches. I don't know. I appreciate the CDL doing something different like that. People were complaining about the single elimination. I guess I get double elimination is obviously better, but for like an online tournament like this, like the goal was to make like a quick weekend thing that they could like
Hmm.
not make too long, not make it like 10-hour days, and just like have a tournament to entertain the fans. So I think it's fine. I think the single elimination is fine for that because
Yep.
like it's supposed to be a quick weekend event that is like something fun that like resembles a tournament, but like making a double elimination would make it so incredibly long. And I think that's kind of the goal of it, is to not have it be that like incredibly long tournament.
Yep. And there's
Um,
one more minor, and then think, do they decide whether to keep doing the minors or not? I believe.
yeah, that's kind of what it seemed like. So there's a minor again in Major Two, or like the second split. There's another minor tournament, and then from there they kind of just like seemed like they're like going to reevaluate. So I don't know if it's like they're going to reevaluate it for next year, or if they're going to maybe add one in for Major Three. They didn't really like clearly state it, but yeah, there's only one more like actually slated on the schedule, and that's for the next split, like stage two.
Yep. I mean, I don't think anyone wouldn't mind them adding them in for the rest of the majors.
Yeah, it's good practice. I feel like the players. I mean, if you're on a team that has a chance to win, you love it because you have a chance to win like an extra. What was it, 50K?
Yeah.
I mean, you have a chance to win an extra little bit for like, and even if you're a team that can't win, like if you're one of those teams that is more on the cusp of making champs, like it also is a massive thing for you because it's a chance to like sneak out some extra. Because what you get like 10 CDL points for third/fourth,
Hmm.
20 for second, and 30 for first. So even if you're one of those teams that maybe you don't necessarily have like as much of a chance to win as many tournaments, but like you can come out and you can get a top 4 or you can make it to the final, you can get that extra 10, 20, 30 points. We've seen over the past few seasons, especially, we've seen it come down to like a team misses champs off a tiebreaker or by 10 points or by 20 points. Like those extra 10 or 20 points for champs qualifiers could be massive for these teams.
Definitely.
All right, Brock, let's talk about Shotzi. It's probably been the biggest story of the past little bit here, past few weeks.
Hmm.
He's been going at the CDL community, pretty much all the pros. He's been kind of going at it with them.
It's
He
sassy.
it's interesting because Shotzi's kind of been more of like a quiet, like soft spoken player in the past.
Yeah.
Like hasn't, he just kind of does his thing. He maybe like talks a little trash in game and stuff, but like kind of just like leaves it, doesn't really like talk too much like that. But like all of a sudden he just like they were streaming scrims. Sounded like LAT didn't necessarily want to have their streams scrimmed, and then from there, Shotzi just went rogue. And I get what he's saying. He's essentially like all of you have seen this. I don't need to like explain the whole
Hmm.
like situation, but he's essentially saying like um people just don't care about the league. Like they're there just to like collect a check. They're not there to like grow the league, stream scrims, practice outside, play eights, play for the win. Like he was tweeting at people, you got to play for the win to
Yeah,
win.
I saw
Like,
that.
and then somebody was saying that like online Hook is the greatest of all time. Wait till LAN. I wish I was wrong. And then Chatsy's like, yeah, I got this weird glitch where I still got paid from MW19 champs, which is hilarious. Uh, and then yeah, he was just like, most teams study breakoffs more than playing efficient. Then he's like, I don't care anymore. It's like, oh, we lost the breakoff. Let's kill her. Like he's just going rogue.
Yeah, he's just ranting.
Talking about players getting pay cuts every year and wondering why. Like they don't do anything besides collect the check. Like he's just like basically calling out players who are just kind of like coasting.
Yep.
And like they get to the league, they collect their paycheck, they do nothing else. And it is crazy because I do completely agree with him. Like so many players seem to just think like they get to the league and they think it's like the NFL, where it's
Hmm.
like get to the NFL, all you have to do is just like focus on your craft, focus on your game. Like obviously, if you're like a big time player, like if you get to the NBA, if you're a big time player, like you can obviously do business things outside, focus on your brand, build your brand. But even those players at that level, where like in the NBA, if you're like a really good player, like if you're a top like superstar player, you don't have to do like anything yourself off the court to create any content or do anything because like you're just being an amazing player in the NBA. It's just going to have eyes on you.
Yep.
And it's like players think that the CDL is the same thing. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, I would hope they know that the CDL isn't anywhere near as big as the NBA or the NFL or any of those leagues. So
Yeah.
like for like, I mean, you got players like Scrap who's creating content and stuff, but like I'm trying to think like I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I know Simp used to create content, but who's like I don't think Cell really creates any content. I could be wrong. Maybe he does create content.
I think he like
He did a little bit, I thought.
maybe it's just a little bit tad into it, but not much at all
I
throughout
don't know
the
about YouTube
years.
right now. But like let's say somebody like Cell, incredible player, right? Like superstar player, always in the top of the league. Like trying to see, has he created like any content recently? I don't really think he has. From maybe I could be wrong. Like I see something he uploaded 2 months ago, 1 month ago. So like he had created content uh in the past, but overall not much. Like he has videos from 9 years ago, a couple from 8, a couple from 4, a couple from 2, and then like a few this year. But overall, Celium hasn't really created much. 27 videos, and he's been on YouTube for 12 years. So
Yeah.
not much. But like so like a player like Celium, like obviously one of the best players in the league for quite some time. Like uh it, it's like he thinks he's like Kevin Durant or something where he can just uh like he can just like play really well and just like he'll have all the eyes on him.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not how this works in the CDL. Like you're gonna continue to collect a check and your pay is gonna increasingly go down because like really you're providing no value to your org because like winning doesn't do a whole lot for your org. It's creating the content that gets eyes on it, and Optic has
Hmm.
that down.
The
So like
views.
yeah, I just completely agree with Shotzi. Like the salary is going to completely go down. You can't just like make it to the league and then just like focus on playing. Like obviously in an ideal world, like you're a pro player, that would be an ideal world. You could just focus on playing
Yep.
and not have to worry about anything else. And I completely understand that in an ideal world, that's what the case would be, but that's not the case in the CDL now. Like it's a growing league. You're trying to make it into a big time mainstream thing. You've also got to create content to help grow that league. And like, if you don't want to, you don't want to. But then you can't complain when your salary goes down or when you're out of the league and you have to go get a different job because,
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, even look at somebody like Havoc. He really wasn't creating much content when he was in the league. Like he streamed and stuff, but like other content, he wasn't creating a ton. Then he realized like, I'm gonna start streaming a little more, trying to create more content. I don't know if I want to play in the league anymore. And he blew up like somebody that understands it. Like if you want to continue to like be in this space, you're gonna have to create content and build a brand. And also building that brand makes you a lot more valuable.
Yep.
Just think if there's two players, both AR players, both kind of even in skill level, both like same connections on a team, and one has 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and has sponsorships and ad deals and has a big following on Twitter, and the other is the same skill level player, doesn't create any content, rarely posts on Twitter, doesn't have any like you know any kind of like presence on social media. Who do you think the organization is going to take? Because who brings them more value?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I don't understand what these players think. Like this isn't guaranteed to last forever. This isn't the NBA. Like the CDL at
Yeah.
any point, like people could take the funding out and they could be making nothing, and it could just be a grassroots league again. Like
Mm-hmm. Hopefully one day we can have the league like it is in NBA and NFL, but just nowhere
just
near that.
yeah, that's not the reality right now. Like
Yeah.
you're not. I'm sorry, you're not LeBron. You can't just go play COD and that's it. Like your brand will just be there. Like you're gonna have to work for it. Like it's like I agree with him. It does seem like people just want to be complacent and just like collect a paycheck and move on. And obviously, not all players are like that. But like, what else are you led to believe? Like, if they're not creating content, their team isn't good. They're not putting in extra work in practice. They're not putting extra work in VODs. They're not playing eights. They're not streaming to grow a brand. Like, it's hard to say they're doing anything besides just collecting a check. They're just showing up for practice. Not and the team's performing poorly. They're not improving. They're not doing anything to improve. What else am I supposed to believe the team is doing?
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're not showing me that you're working outside the game or creating content, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
um Anti-cheat update, Brock.
Ooh. Wonder
do we
what this is.
actually yeah do we believe this? Is it even real? Is it just something to try to appease the community?
Yeah, something to please the community for now.
So I mean, they released a statement, Activision did, saying in December they announced they're implementing major upgrades to the currently online active kernel level driver for season 2, as well as upgrades to server side systems in early 2025. Basically said there's new and improved client and server side detection systems in season 2, updating some other stuff within the anti-cheat, new tampering detection system, and then in season 3 and beyond, a multitude of new tech, including a brand new system to authenticate legit players and target cheaters. And as they said, as we get closer
Mm.
to season 3, we'll dive a little deeper on these systems. However, it's important that we don't provide too many details that could give cheat developers a peek behind the curtain. We're not slowing down in our mission to shut down cheaters whose only mission is to ruin the fun for everyone else, and we're confident that the combination of the updates above, as well as ongoing improvements for our detection systems and Activision's continued legal actions against illegal cheat sellers, provide a demonstrably healthier gameplay experience going forward. I just read that and I'm like, okay, show me, I guess. Like,
Yeah, let me see it so I can believe it.
because also like you're talking season 2, which comes out shortly, and then season 3, which is months away. Like these updates are months down the road. Like you're a multi-billion-dollar a quarter company. Like let's push it out faster. Like,
Yeah.
and they say like there's 136,000 players that have been banned over the past how many months? Like that number seems low to me, and like how do I even know that that's true?
Mm-hmm. You could just
Like
pull a random number realistically.
yeah, and because there's nobody like fact checking it, so they could say a million players are banned, and you have no way of knowing. But like, also like the wording for like reinforced encryption process, new tampering detection system. Okay, but you've made these systems over the past how many years, and none of them have worked. How do I just believe like the new one works? And then
Yeah.
like season 3, like they said, they don't want to give more like detailed language because they don't want to like allow people to develop like cheats to counter it, but like a multitude of new tech, including a brand new system to authenticate legit players and target cheaters.
Mm-hmm.
Like that doesn't okay. Like that just seems like the most generic language you could possibly use to just like say like, hey, we're improving it, but like how do we know it's actually going to improve?
Yeah, I don't know. One day we can get all these cheaters out of here, but until then,
But like, I don't know. People, do you agree with me? People seem really excited about this, and I'm kind of like, yeah, obviously, if it works, it is very exciting news.
yeah.
But like, I have no reason to believe. I don't believe it'll work. I'll be honest. It may sound negative, but I don't believe it's going to work. It has never worked for as long as we've been on PC, and cheaters have been more prevalent. So why would I just believe randomly like they tweeted something, so now it's going to work?
Yeah. Why would you think this one would work?
Yeah. Uh, okay, then we have another one, Brock. This one is a positive one for console players. Unfortunately, we play on PC.
Yeah, we switched over and then
When all the cheaters were at the worst. But in season two, they're enabling the ability to disable crossplay for console players who want to compete against only other console players. Currently in testing and is planned to go live for both Black Ops 6 rank play and Warzone rank play during season two.
hmm
Uh Makes no sense. Why just like I think they talked to Aches about that on the flank, and he basically said, like, yeah, that's an extremely easy thing to just put in. Like that should be like a we turned it on. This should not take until season two or during season two, like waiting weeks. Like this should just be turned on.
yeah, that should
And if
be already in the game off day one.
somebody wants to say like, oh, it is a bit hard to do, once again, $1 billion company. Let's put some people on it. Let's figure it out. Like you push out it. Trust me, I know this from being like a Madden Ultimate Team player. They will have glitches that'll be in the game for months at a time and not fix it, and they're like game breaking glitches that don't allow you to play. But the second something is wrong in the store,
Yep.
that is like glitched on the price, they will have that thing fixed instantly because they don't
hmm
want to lose their money. The same thing with COD. Like if they have like something that's affecting like the game, like the cheaters, like people are still playing, people are still buying. They're kind of like, yeah, whatever. I mean, we'll let it go for years. But like something in the store is supposed to be 1,600 COD points and it's listed for 1,200. You better believe that is going to be fixed so fast nobody's even going to be able to purchase it.
Yep.
Like it's just ridiculous. Like they can flip this on. It is a good thing though. If you're a console player, this is a huge W. You can make it console only, so you don't have to play against all the PC players that are walling and no have
Yep.
aimbot.
It's a lot less stressful
Yeah,
and more
for
fun.
sure. Yeah. Another thing, Brock, the vote to forfeit feature is coming at season 2 launch, which allows players to vote with their team to end a match early if they're getting blown out or you've lost a teammate. Forfeited matches count as a standard loss and do not result in SR penalties or suspensions. That is cool. Although, like the vote to feature forfeit, like we played a little Valorant, that makes a little sense. Like you
hmm
can tell you're completely outmatched, you're down like 8-0 or something, you don't want to continue playing. Like in Valorant, it makes a little sense. In COD, it's like it's a great feature for like if somebody does lag out or your teammate quits if you're like solo queuing.
Yeah.
It's a great feature. Like if your teammate lags out and it's 50-20 in hardpoint and you're playing a 3v4, like we don't have to sit through the whole hardpoint and get me out. But like I don't know, the vote to forfeit feature, like even if it's 200 to 100 and I'm playing a hardpoint, like where you're going for the comeback, it's more of like a if it's 5-0 and S&D. But even at that case, like I'm gonna play it out and try to get the full sale. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's a great feature for if somebody lags out or quits, but like the getting blown out thing,
Yeah,
I don't
I don't.
necessarily in COD. I don't think that works as well as it does in like Valorant, but it's an awesome feature. I will say it's an awesome feature for, like I said, lag outs or quits.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Definitely, if we're down or like down 100, down even 200 at that point, just try to make a comeback.
Yeah, like by the time you go and click forfeit and everybody votes, like just play for the comeback in that case. But another thing that like they talked about it and advertised it, like let's release it at launch of the game. Like
hmm
a very cool feature, though, the ability to rejoin rank play matches is also planned for later in season 2, which should help to ensure fuller teams in matches that players experience a disconnect. That is very cool. Like there have been
That's
times
nice.
like where we've had a friend like leg out like right away in the game, or he gets like a dev error right in the game, and you could like load it back up. And if it's like a search and destroy, even if you go down like 2-0 and they're able to reboot the game, like you can win from a 2-0 deficit, or even control. You lose one round,
hmm
like you may be able to win more rounds, or even hardpoint if you don't get down too much. Like somebody can join back in. That is cool.
Yep.
So yeah, that is a very cool feature, and they do say like oh late plan for later in season 2. So whenever they say plan for, that makes me nervous that it's never actually going to come out, but we'll see.
Yep. Even like if you like your internet goes off for half a second and leg out, can get back in there within the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, because that was really annoying. You have just like like you said, your internet goes out for like half a second, and all of a sudden, uh, yeah, all of a sudden like oh no, my internet went out for half a second. I'm out. I have a suspension. I can't get back in the game. Like in this case, you can at least get back in, which is
Yeah,
very nice.
that's always good.
Yeah. Other random news, Brock. Envy is back.
I saw that. Astro.
Yeah, they he got like the Dallas Fuel, the Dallas Empire, Envy back. I think he already signed an Apex team. I'm sure he probably wants to get back into COD.
Oh,
That's exciting
definitely.
because Envy is an all time classic, uh, classic brand in really COD, but all of esports. So that's very fun.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's good.
Um, Brock, speaking of things that are back or rebrands, Illy for a bit there rebranded to Yoda King, one of the worst rebrands ever. Illy is one of the best names, I think. I always
Yeah.
thought it was an awesome name. And Yoda King, not it. Thankfully, I think he is back to Illy, but he has to like get his Twitch and like his Twitter at like back. Like I think it takes like so much time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, that is interesting to say the least from Illy. Not a great name change.
Yeah, must have thought one day I'll yelled things it for like a couple hours. Decided to change.
Yeah, I was like, is this guy like engagement farming or something? Because it was a crazy name switch. It was like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was certainly interesting to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Brock. Then I think we can talk matches from this past weekend just a little bit.
Yep.
Some of the things we saw, like mainly the Optic LAT match, which was very interesting.
Definitely. It was interesting. That's to say the least.
Seems like Thieves had it all, wrapped up, and then uh, some weird stuff went down, and Optic had a historic comeback.
Sure
Uh,
did. They
I'm
couldn't
pulling up the
close.
little stats here.
The thieves could not pull it out in the end.
Yeah, obviously we had on Friday we had LAG 3-0 and Cloud9. Cloud9 looks rough. Priest had a great series. Optic took out Falcons, which I want to say out to the Falcons because we're talking about people that don't, like seem to be trying. Falcons, they played Optic somewhat tight in that Vault hardpoint. They beat him in the Search and Destroy. They had the upper hand of that Hacienda control. They were up 2-1 with some good round wins, ended up losing it in around 5, and then lost the hardpoint. And that's basically the story of Falcons season. Like they've been okay at Search. They look competitive in control, but they just can't win a hardpoint. They're like staying relatively competitive in the hardpoints. They just
Yep.
can't win them right now. But I will say, like, if you watch them during their matches and like in their player cams, the passion is flowing.
Mm-hmm. They're definitely trying hard.
Like they're screaming, they're getting hyped, they're trying like everything they can. Like obviously they're at an extreme disadvantage. It's their first time ever playing in the league. They're playing teams like Optic. They have limited practice. Like, but you got to respect that, like the fact that they are trying. Like they are doing everything they can. They are putting full passion into it. Like
Mm-hmm.
you got to just tip it for Falcons. So I do appreciate that. I wanted to
Yeah.
mention that quick.
Even though they haven't won, you can't knock them for what they're trying to do.
Yeah, they're at an extreme disadvantage, and they're not giving up. They're playing with some passion.
Yep.
Toronto was able to take out Minnesota in a game 5. They 6-0'd them in a game 5 this weekend. We also had Vancouver taking out Falcons, like we said. Miami took out Cloud9 in a game 5. Boston beat the Royal Ravens in what was just an awesome series from Purge. 113 kills on the series,
Went
12K
crazy.
damage. Snoopy had an awesome series. Cammy had an awesome series. Just Purge, having some very, very, very good series this year, and overall, like looking pretty good. Like Purge has been a good player this year, proving some people
Mm-hmm.
wrong. Like we always knew, he had like the smarts, he had the communication, like he was a decent leader. It just hadn't shown that like he could keep up in the slaying department. And this year, he's at a 1.02 overall
Pretty good.
and has played very well. So shout out to Purge because we are definitely people that doubted him, and he's been playing very well.
Yep. I knew he was a good search player. Just the respawns were just questionable for a lot of times last year.
Yeah, he was like costing in respawns, but like the team was still winning. Like he was making good plays on the map and like doing things. It's just like the slaying is so hard to make up for
Yep.
when somebody is struggling that hard. And he's picking it up now. And Boston continues to look very good. I kind of thought they were going to come back down to earth, and maybe they still will, but they look really good right now.
Yep. They sure do.
Brock, we got the one match I really wanted to hone in on before we do our predictions. That Optic match.
Ooh, yeah.
Optic come out on that Hacienda. Scrap sets the CDL all-time record for lowest damage
He
in a
wasn't even
hardpoint
shooting
map.
back.
Yeah, 774 damage, 6-19, drops a 0.3, just like completely uncharacteristic. We never see it. Scrap is like one of the most consistent slayers in the entire league. He's always put up numbers. Like a bad game for Scrap is when he drops a 1.0.
Yeah.
Like,
But,
and it
man.
was funny. A lot of the timings he was getting were just like it was one of those maps. I mean, we've all had them. If you're like a player that plays ranked or GBs or whatever, like you just have those maps where like every timing seems to go against you, and it's like you just can't buy one, and you just start to lose full.
Yeah. Everything just goes wrong that map, and you just, can't do nothing about it. It's how it
Like,
goes sometimes.
yeah, like you think you have your timings down, you get shot in the back. You turn this way, as you turn, somebody shoots you in the side, and it's just like Scrap was just having one of those maps because obviously we know Scrap, very good player. Like he's not going to have those maps too often.
Yep.
Um,
He did bounce back in the search and record though. Map
yeah, he
2.
really bounced back overall, and like pretty much the rest of the maps. Like he in the Search and Destroy map 2, he went 12-6, had a really good map, ton of damage there, had 1,000 more damage than he did in the hard point.
Mm-hmm.
In the Control, his team wins 3-1. He goes 18-21. He goes 30-35, but he was really shooting in that hard point on Skyline where they lose. And then in the map 5, another 12 kills. He had 12 in both searches. He had 24 across 2 searches. They were up 5-1, and obviously, Optic is
Mm-hmm.
able to rattle off 5 straight shots with the crazy nade to
Yep.
trade the first blood. And then Dashi has a good read, cracks the door on like bottom spiral stairs, like I'm on that side door out of Lambo. He gets one, he gets traded. Hook tries to get his trade and gets traded out. Kenny's left in the 1v2. He's laying down mid hallway, has the read. There's not a lot of time. LAT was kind of tweaking mid round too. Like they were running back and forth. Like they didn't seem like they were decisive.
Yep.
Honestly, I think if Shotzi's nade doesn't hit, they probably win the round because they probably just like push through after that kill on Shotzi and plant the bomb there.
Yeah.
And
So
it's a
after
4v3 retake. Optics kind of out of position.
mm-hmm. Yeah. After that, they pretty much backed up and huddled in Lambo for a bit, and then try up to A, and they kind of, like you said, going back and forth and just
Yeah,
not knowing where they wanted to go.
they like wrapped to A. Kenny was like backed up watching like open. And like he went he like was watching it and then he went to go check B site and like LAT came back from Lambo to go B again. And then Kenny shot him. They backed back out again, and that's when they wrapped through and found Dashi. And Kenny's left in the 1v2. He's laying down like outside P4 and open in the top hallway. And I was like, wait, he's laying in a great spot. He may be able to win it because like I was like, if they both run into his pre-aim, he may fire. And like if the guy doesn't
Mm-hmm.
exactly where he is right away, he may be able to get too quickly, like, and they make him one shot or something, and he wins it. But Kenny gets a horrible time, and he stands up as the first guy's challenging. I'm like, oh, it's over. Like terrible timing. He stood up. He gets the first kill. And then he doesn't like see the guy right away because he slides out after. He turns, he's getting shot in the back. I'm like, oh, it's over. Somehow it gets laid down. Like
Yep.
he's one shot. I figure like Envoy's just gonna pre-aim it, get the kill. Like when he stands up, like he's got him dead to rights. For some reason, Envoy like starts sprinting at him like he's gonna slide shell it. Ken just reach out it, kills him. An amazing 1v2 for the win to close out the 5-1 comeback. Kenny's just icy.
All it is, he just got the ice. And it's crazy. Obviously the thieves don't know in the moment, but if they just wrap all around to A site defenses, they probably win it.
Yeah, if they go through the door, they trade out Dashi and they kill Hook. They don't know it, but you're not wrong. If they just like sprint bottom middle through to like you or just like sprint across and go fences and go to that site, yeah, you're not wrong. They probably win.
Obviously, it's a hard judgment call in the moment because they don't know.
Yes, obviously in the moment it is very different. You don't know where Kenny is. We have the ability to see through the wall, podcaster, and know exactly where Kenny is. So we know what the right play is. But obviously, like they're just trying to make a read, and unfortunately for them, they made the wrong read. But Kenny, he's just icy. He just wins those.
This is what he does. He just wins.
Yeah, but probably match of the year, to be honest, because of the way it went. Like 100-point club for Optic. Looks like they're going to roll him. LAT wins 2 straight. Optic clutches up on a Skyline that for a second there looked pretty grim for them. It looked like they were going to lose that map for it. And then 5-1 Search and Destroy. Everything's going LAT's way. They're kind of just completely handling the map, and then they blow it. Like, just what an awesome series. That was probably series of the year so far, or up there in terms of regular season matches for series of the year.
Yep. That's some good composure out of Optic. Definitely
absolutely.
Game 5.
Yeah, good to see for them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Brock, let's do last thing predictions. Predictions have been really weird. We did week 1, I beat you 16-6 in our points. Week 2, I beat you 12-10, and then just with the way I was on vacation and then moving, so we actually missed predictions for week 3 and 4 just kind of like unexpectedly. So
Yeah.
I'm currently up 28-16. Like, there's not much of a chance for you to come back, but you did get kind of cheesed because of the fact that we didn't get to do like 2 full weeks. We should have just wrote down our predictions. It was just I was so busy, I didn't even think of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Life just happened, you know?
yeah. So like, technically, you're kind of screwed. You have no way to win. So we maybe just like chalk up major one, and we just do like a best of 3 series for 2,
Yeah.
3, and 4 for our predictions. We'll still predict this week, put points on, just see how we do.
Mm-hmm.
But we're probably not going to count this for our standings just because like I mean, somehow, if I will say this, if you win, we'll count it for the standings because that would be an insane like morale. Like you'd have to get like every match right, and I have to get everyone wrong. Don't pick opposite of me. Pick who you think's gonna win. But like
Yeah.
somehow, with whatever way it goes, like if you somehow come out on top just by getting like every map count right and like a couple like other ones, if you we'll count it as a win for you if you end up winning because you are down 12 points. It'd be insane.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's make our predictions. We got Carolina versus Vancouver in the first match on Friday. Honestly, a pretty fun match. I always like watching Vancouver play because they're a solid team. You never know; they could pull off an upset in Carolina. I mean, they're kind of my boys this year. I like to see them play it whenever possible.
Yep. Hmm. Let's see. I'm thinking Carolina 3-1.
Yeah, and remember, you get the advantage of you can put your 3 times points on any match before I can. You can basically veto it for me.
All
Um,
right.
yeah, I actually agree with you. I think it's Carolina 3-1. Carolina, they did just recently lose, in the minor and everything. They lost their first match as well in the qualifiers. Maybe things are starting to unravel a little bit for them. We did think like, I think Carolina can be a very good team, but like to have them go undefeated in a split or like win the minor tournament like seems a little bit far fetched. Like I do think they're a very good team, but I don't know that I'm saying like they're a team that's going undefeated in online splits or like winning tournaments or something. But I think some
Yeah.
cracks are starting to show. But I still think they're able to get this win against Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver is a lot more desperate for a win, though. Obviously, probably not their most important match. Their most important match is probably the one against Minnesota because it's like direct competition in the standings for them.
Yep.
But
And
an important match because if they win this one and then beat Minnesota, they're guaranteed. I mean, 4-3, they're guaranteed to be in winners.
yeah, and that's Minnesota's only match, so that definitely help that Vancouver can win that.
Yeah, absolutely. Our next match, Brock, is LAT versus Miami. Assuming you're probably going LAT here, unless you're going for the big upset.
LAT, and I'll put my 3 times points, 2 times points on it.
Okay, what are you saying for the map count?
I see 3-0.
3-0 LAT. All right.
After the heartbreaking loss against Optic, they come out and just murder Miami.
I actually agree with you again. I'm going LAT 3-0. I do think there's a world where Miami maybe gets a map or so, but I'd be pretty shocked if LAT after that heartbreaking loss, like a couple losses in a row too. They just lost the phase in the minor tournament. Like I'd be pretty surprised if LAT doesn't come out with some fire.
Yeah.
And finally gets another win on the board because they do play Boston later in the split, and like Miami is, Boston is they're a good team. They're definitely, I would say, better than Miami at this point, but 2 matches that LAT should be winning. Like I don't care how good the Boston team is playing; these are 2 teams that LAT should be beating.
Most definitely.
And speaking of Boston, Brock, we got them playing Atlanta in the last match on Friday. Some good matches. Carolina Vancouver is a really intriguing match. LAT Miami's kind of whatever, but Boston Atlanta is a good match because like Atlanta has been playing better. We view them as the better team. They won the minor tournament, and just with the players like we talked about that they have on their team, we view them as a better team. But Boston continues to just beat teams. They're 4-1. They look very good. You think Boston's able to get a win over Atlanta here, or is Atlanta going to take them out?
Man, even though Boston's been playing better, all the players seem to be playing better. Purge, especially. It's Atlanta at the end of the day, and I'm gonna pick Atlanta 3-1. I do for some reason. I think Boston does win the search though.
Yeah, I agree. I think Atlanta wins. I have a feeling this might go to a game 5. I'm gonna pick Atlanta 3-2.
I like it.
Boston. They've been competitive in respawns. I think they can win searches. I think Boston's gonna find a way to win the map 2 and then win maybe the control or the map 4. I don't think they're gonna go up 2-0 because I don't know if FaZe reverse sweeps, but I think it'll be like maybe FaZe wins the hard point, Boston wins the search, and then Boston will win either 3 or 4, one of the 2 of those, and then they'll lose the game 5.
Yeah.
I think they'll win a search and like the second search and the third or fourth map. I don't think they'll win map one though, but I think Boston's able to get a couple maps on the board because they have looked so good and they're playing so well right now. And then Atlanta is able to close them out in the map five.
Like it.
Starting off Saturday, Brock, Vancouver, Minnesota. That's one of the bigger matches of the weekend.
It
Two
is.
two win teams. It's especially big if Vancouver does fall to Carolina like we predicted. They'd be 2-4. Minnesota would be 2-4. Winner, I believe at that point would get in with the 3 wins based on how the standings are. Loser would most likely be out. Uh, unless Vancouver does beat Carolina, then maybe if Minnesota wins, they both have 3 wins. They both get in. But either way, Vancouver, Minnesota, the winner pretty much locks in winners bracket for the most part. I would think.
Hmm.
Who you got in this
Yeah.
one?
I'm taking Minnesota game 5.
Minnesota after that 2-0 start, they don't look as good.
Yeah.
It's been Paul X for me. He just like
He's not
Nero
been.
has like great moments and like even Estriel has his really good moments. Gio has his really good moments. Just Paul, like he just overall has not impressed me lately.
Yeah. It's kind of, kind of dragging the team down in a way, if you will.
I mean, like Gio did not have a great series against FaZe, 0.79 and a 0.9 for Nero, and Gio had extremely low damage, but like Paul had a 0.58
Yeah.
against Atlanta. Like in that map one, he was 14 and 21. He had a lot of hill time, but like him and Gio were both struggling mightily, and the subs just absolutely dragged them in that map one win against FaZe.
Hmm.
And then what was the other series? Was it against Toronto? Yeah, against Toronto, 0.71 lowest damage in the lobby again. Like back to back series, like lowest KD, lowest damage. Like sometimes a low KD, it comes with like, really high damage. And it's like, okay, he just maybe wasn't finishing kills. He was getting a lot of damage. Like he was in the right positions. But like Paul's been really struggling lately.
You need to pick it up, or else, they keep struggling after this major. They're probably look for a change.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going with Vancouver here. I think Vancouver's gonna be able to close it out. I think they're gonna close it out. I'm gonna go map 5 as well, but I'm going Vancouver opposite of you. I don't
Hmm.
know. I like the makeup of this team as much as I didn't at first. They've been continuously growing on me, and I don't have a lot of faith. I guess I should say I don't have a lot of faith in the Minnesota team as much as like I have faith in a lot of the individual players. Just right now, I just don't know about the team overall. Like I feel like one change could be made and like they could be a lot better. I mean, Paul X is 47th in qualified, like among there's 51 qualified players that have played a match in the CDL this season. Paul X is 47th in KD as an AR, and two of the players, two of the players below him are like haven't played the full season. One is on
Yeah.
the bench. King of Bodies dead last at 0.72.
Not
DeHoom
King of
for
Body.
Falcons is in second last, but once again, he has only played a few matches. So, like, only been in for a little bit. Roxas is in 49th. He's been playing the full year, but on Falcons again. So, 3 Falcons players.
Yep.
And he's only ahead of one player that's not on the Falcons in the entire league, Brock. I'll give you one guess who it is. I'll say it. It's not somebody you'd expect. If I would have told you he was dead last, besides the Falcons players in KD this year, you'd have been shocked.
Man. Who could it be?
You'd be shocked.
Who's
You would
playing?
never guess it.
Who's playing terrible?
You'll say like, oh, it makes sense. He's been playing bad this year when you hear it, but it's a player
Let's
you
hear,
would not expect.
let's hear it. I can't think of
Sid.
one. Uh, that does make sense. He's not been what he
You know what I
was.
mean? Though, if I would have told you that before the year, Sib's going to be dead last in KD except for Falcons players, you'd have been like that. There's no way.
Yeah. Literally
Like,
after what we saw especially at the last half a year in champs.
well, and Sib's a player that's always been really good at getting his kills. So even if he wasn't playing that well, you'd figure he'd at least be, at a 0.9. He's at a 0.85. But Paul X at a 0.86. He's below Hixie, below Lucky. Kenny's down there. Vivid's down there. Priesta. But Paul X way down there. Like it's been a struggle for him. I don't know. I like the Vancouver team a little more. Everybody knows I love Abuza.
Yep.
Really, really, really awesome player. But I just think Vancouver's gonna be able to get it done at map 5, propel themselves to the winners bracket.
Like it.
I guess a note that I wanted to talk about we'll talk about when we get to them actually in our next match. Never mind. Next match, Brock, your 2 teams are playing Vegas Falcons, Los Angeles Gorilla Mates. Vegas they've been looking better and better and better, and like even the hard point, despite not winning them, like they've been competitive. I still think LAG wins this. I'm gonna go LAG wins in a 3-1 fashion. I think just like all their series have gone, I think Falcons take the search. LAG win all the respawns, but maybe the most vulnerable team Falcons have played, and they continue to look better and better.
Yeah, man, I'm going for it. Actually, no, I'm not gonna go for it. I'm gonna pick LAG to win, but Vegas is going to the first game 5.
Okay.
And again, they're gonna lose, but they're going to the first game 5.
I mean, I don't. They have like you can see signs of improvement. Like there is talent on the team. It's just the lack of like ability to win a hard point just hinders them so much. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're basically like they have to win every search in order to win a series. Like they're guaranteed to be down 1-0, and if they don't win the search, they're looking to reverse sweep. And in order to reverse sweep, they have to not only win on respawn where they struggle and control, but then they also have to win their first hard point ever in order to just force them at 5 to play search and destroy, where they're like their win rate's like 33% of the time. Like
Yeah.
everything is an uphill battle for them. But I mean, they are showing signs of improving, and like we said, it's not like they're just like some team that formed a terrible roster and it's like, what are they doing? Make a change. Like they came into the year like we knew this was reality for them. Like this is these players' first time playing at this level.
All you can do is just try and prove every day, and hopefully keep getting better and better.
Yeah. We got Miami, Carolina, Brock. I'm going Carolina Royal Ravens in a 3-1 fashion. I think they finish off 6-1 this split, and we'll see if that. I don't know with tiebreaker wise if that can get them into the top. If it's just off map win percentage or game win percentages they listed on the site, it maybe gives Carolina a chance. But I guess if they go 6-2, they probably don't have a chance. I guess, or maybe they don't because they just won't have as many wins overall. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see how the standings work, but Carolina maybe puts their hat in the ring for the 1 seed if they go 2-0.
Mm-hmm. I kind of like what you have 3-1. I don't think a 3-0 will happen. I think Miami's decent and good enough to win a search or a hard point on the rec day, and I don't think that's gonna go game 5.
You said 3-1 Carolina.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was reading the tiebreakers as well because it does say the first tiebreaker. I saw it on the CDL site here. The first tiebreaker is head-to-head match win percentage. Skipped if at least one team has not defeated or lost to all other tied teams. So if it's a 3-way, like if Optic beats Toronto, it's a 3-way tie between like them, Carolina, Thieves, and even if Boston goes 2-0. But let's say they don't. Let's say Thieves, Carolina, Optic, Toronto all go to 6 wins after this weekend. It wouldn't work because I don't think they've all played head to head. So then it would be like overall match win percentage, which would probably in that case go to Optic then because they have a higher. Yeah, if Optic wins their series, they'll get the 1 seed. If Toronto wins the series, they'll get the 1 seed just based on what I'm reading. And I think the next inside track would be like Carolina to get the next seed, and then Thieves just because like I think that's how it'll work. I think the winner of Optic Toronto gets the 1 seed for sure, just based on what I'm reading.
Okay. Makes sense.
All right, then Sunday, Brock. Boston versus LAT. Boston has looked a lot better. I think they make this really competitive, but I am going to go LAT winning in a. I'm gonna, you know what we'll do it for fun. I'm gonna say 3-2. I say Boston extends this series. They play Atlanta and LAT this weekend, so just a brutal weekend. So it's a great job by Boston. You have a split where you played Optic, LAT, and Atlanta because they played Optic in the first match.
Yep.
Where they beat them. They played Optic, LAT, and Atlanta, and they're going to come out in the winners bracket. That is the job well done by Boston.
That is pretty good for them.
Like everybody was basically saying they had a shoe in 3 losses on their schedule. They were going to lose to those 3 teams, and they would have to win the other 4. Well, they did beat Optic, and they lost one other match. And like even if they lose both these matches, they played the 3 top 3 teams on paper coming into the year in the first split, and they were able to make winners bracket, and they had it wrapped up before the last week. So what a first stage from Boston.
Yep, definitely. I didn't think this was gonna happen for Boston.
Yeah, I don't think too many people saw it coming.
I'm gonna pick LAT 3-1.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I'd be pretty shocked if they don't win this one. The next one, Brock, on Saturday is Atlanta versus C9. This is where I'm going to use my 3X. I think Atlanta's going to 3-0 them. C9 maybe gets a map or 2, but they have just been one of the most disappointing teams.
Mm-hmm.
Sib is just playing awful. Attach looks a little bit off. Mac has actually been pretty awesome, and Kremp hasn't been like bad overall for the most part, but the team just looks out of sync. The ARs don't look to be playing too well. It just weird because I really thought like if the team had struggles, the subs were going to be the issue, but it's been a repeated thing. It's the ARs that are the issue on the team right now. Like
Yeah.
Mac has been their best player, which I did not think was going to be the case. Like I know
After the
Mac's a
year
good player,
off.
but like yeah, coming off a year off, I thought maybe throughout the year if he's given a chance to play, Mac will improve and he may get back to like the player we've seen. But like him and Kremp are both sitting at a 1.0 and seem to be playing really well. Attach is at a 0.94 and Sib is the lowest KD in the league. That's not a Falcons player. So the ARs are really, really, really struggling, and it's a shock because it's not something that we expected.
Yeah, and I wonder if they keep struggling, if they might look to make a change.
Yeah, which once again, if they look to make a change and it ends up being Sib or Attach, I did not. I think I even made a prediction that maybe like Mac or Kremp would be like one of the first players changed out for Hook. Obviously, that changes things because like Hook with the whole Optic situation, like Hook was brought into Optic, and we didn't obviously expect that to happen. But like,
yeah,
Fred would be like an obvious candidate for this team because like accuracy is the coach and Sibs on the team is old duo. But the tough thing in Mac, like his other old teammate, but the tough thing is like Fred's a sub, and right now the two subs are the players that deserve to maintain their spot. So I don't know if Fred does come back after Major One. I really think Kremp is going to get kind of screwed here.
Yeah,
I think they're going to end up making a change because it is Pred. Like he's a lot better than Kremp, but Kremp he's going to end up getting screwed because the change makes sense. Pred's a better player. He's played with Mac and Civ. The chemistry will be instant. Like it does look like a really good roster on paper because it's that Seattle Surge team with Attach over accuracy, and Attach is an upgrade.
Yep.
So like the team on paper looks really good, but I do if that situation does come out, which seems to be the most likely thing, I feel really bad for Kremp because like he has actually played pretty well and definitely does not. I mean, he's definitely not the first name on the team that would be dropped based on their play. Just this year alone, if you're looking at their play, he'd probably be the third player dropped. Like Attach and Sib are probably getting dropped before him. If you just see the way that they played and you don't know who the player is,
yep,
Kremp's probably been their second best player and he's probably going to get dropped, which is super unfortunate for him.
Yeah, but hopefully they can turn around and keep going. But I'm picking FaZe here, definitely. I'm picking FaZe in a 3-1.
Okay, you're giving them a map. All right. And then, Brock, the match of the weekend comes last on Sunday. Again, we had Optic versus LAT last Sunday, which was an awesome match. And then the match of the weekend comes last here. It's Texas versus Toronto. Optic Texas versus Toronto Ultra, playing for the 1 seed. I've got Optic taking it in another map 5, icing up. But Toronto is definitely not a team to be a pushover. Like Toronto has been very good. They're 6-0 in qualifiers. Obviously, they did lose their match in the minor tournament, so they have lost a match this year. It's just in official like qualifier standings, they haven't because they're 6-0 in the qualifier matches. But Toronto has looked awesome this year. I think Optic gets them, but it's definitely not like a shoe-in. Like there is definitely a world where Toronto is able to beat Optic for sure.
Yeah. I had Optic going Game 5 too, but I'll go Toronto Game 5 win.
Yeah, it's truly a toss-up in my mind.
Should be a good matchup for that 1 seed, definitely.
Yeah, should be an excellent matchup. All right, we'll see where our predictions go. That's pretty much all we had for this episode, Brock. Drop your predictions down in the comments. You got anything else before we wrap this one up?
I think we're good.
All right. If you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. We're sorry for the break, but we're back. We shouldn't have any more breaks coming up, hopefully, unless something out of the blue comes up. So hopefully that doesn't happen. We won't have any more breaks coming up, but we appreciate all you guys coming back and listening to this one. What a wild weekend of matches it was. I hope we have another really good weekend of matches just with all the scenarios in terms of tiebreakers. It's always fun when you get down to the end here and there's like multiple teams that could make it in that are fighting for their life. There's multiple teams fighting for the 1 seed. Like FaZe at the bottom, so they could have like a really weird matchup where like the winner of Optic Toronto could end up playing, or the loser of Optic versus Toronto could end up playing FaZe in like a 2-7 matchup potentially. So like that could even be a bigger win than you even thought, because like you get to avoid FaZe potentially, or maybe you win and FaZe stays at 8, and it's just like, wow, we got the 1 seed and our reward is playing FaZe.
Yeah.
Like, so some crazy things could happen, but that's gonna do it for this one, and we will see you guys in the next one.